They all the way. I'm on the way. On the fire. You can turn it back and then bring on desire. Doubts are raised over NATO claim the missile which hit Poland was UKR. It said that is NATO hiding the truth behind Poland missile strikes to avoid WW3. This is, of course, what everyone is talking about because obviously Mr. Zelen came out and said, this wasn't us, and the information I have totally goes against this. We have talked about this over the last couple of days, but it is big stuff right here because once that did hit that random tractor in the middle of a field, again, that was something that set off Article 4, and many nations ended up meeting and talking about Article 5. And then immediately they did not allow UKR to actually go in and be a part of it. Now they are. We're going to update you on all of that, what is going on. And some think that they were just trying to avoid WW3. That last second somebody made a call or something happened. But we'll go over the official narrative. And of course, that has changed probably 10 times in the last couple of days. Apparently, Twitter is dying. We'll talk about that in a little bit as well. And then we'll talk about everything else that is happening right now. So stick around. It is going to be a good one. It says, doubts have today been raised over whether a missile which hit Poland earlier this week really was a UKR rocket gone haywire, with U.S. and European officials calling for further investigation as President Zelensky continues to insist it was Vlad's weapons. It says Polish President Andrzej Duda and NATO leaders yesterday played down suspicions that Moscow's men had fired the S-300 missile which hit the town of Perezwodo on Tuesday, taking the lives of two and of course insisting that it was highly probable that it had come from Kiev's forces, meaning that the Allies will not respond militarily, which could have sparked WW3. But of course, the president of UKR yesterday insisted that he has no doubt that it was not our missile. Based on military intelligence, he says he has no doubts in the information he got and accused UKR's Western allies of blocking his investigators from inspecting the crash site. He said, hey, if we're responsible, then we should have absolute right to go in there. Who knows if this is a circus or not? Most of it always is in hindsight. But again, this is pretty crazy. It says Kurt Volker, former U.S. Special Envoy to UKR, appeared to throw his weight behind Zelensky yesterday evening, saying that Kiev has very sophisticated missile tracking systems and knows what's going on. Though he did not specifically endorse his version of events as far as the president of UKR, he called for UKR to be included in the missile probe. The UKR military have very good data collection. They have good radars. They track every single missile. I've been to their headquarters where they do this, he told the Washington Examiner. He says they know what's going on. I'm sure the Poles do as well. I'm sure we do as well. So the Poles and UKR need to sit down with their experts and look at the data and come up with what they think actually happened. I have some side theories. I'll talk about that in a bit. But again, what was kind of crazy, and in fact, the image for today's thumbnail, there's a vehicle that looks like it's an S-300 command center. When this tractor had that trailer on it, which as you will see later, there's a picture of it kind of flipped over. It hit a tractor which supposedly had two people on or near the tractor. It actually looked a lot like that, and I'm wondering, of course, a human wouldn't make that mistake, but would an AI-driven missile do the trick? Would something that is possibly new technology, untested, end up, seeing something like that, being able to judge its weight or its size, its, dimensions and say that's one of those and then go and hit it? Even, it doesn't see borders, or maybe it does, who knows? But again, I have a couple just side theories about that. So we'll talk about that and much, much more on today's show. And it's a call-in at 224-400-MARF. If you are going to call in right after we introduce Dex in just a few minutes. A call-in show is always done live, so remember, call in soon, 224-400-MARF. Again, that's 224-400-6273. We'll be right back right after this. Thank you very much. Nothing in this show should be considered legal, medical, or financial advice. The views of the callers can differ considerably and do not necessarily reflect my opinion, Dex's opinion, or anyone else who works with the show. You should always do your own research and consult with professionals. The internet is full of fake news, so please take everything with a grain of salt. If you have not already, it helps us out if you end up going through any of our affiliates, and it helps you out if you end up protecting yourself against cybercrime. NordVPN is one of the best and one of the easiest to use. If you do not have a virtual private network, it protects your IP address, which is your online identity, which actually connects to your real address and everything else. It also connects to you. If you know anything about how they are data logging and basically getting your profiles down, you can prevent that by having a VPN. Nord is, again, one of the easiest. Download it. It's like an on switch and off switch. All you have to do. Go to marfooglenews.com/VPN. Not only will you get a giant discount on this, but you will also be helping us. I appreciate your support, and I appreciate everyone that goes through any of our affiliates. Can't say thank you enough.
Everybody died on the day all the way. I'm along the way, on the fight. You can turn it back and the ring no desire. On no back, on the way. Everybody died on the day all the way.
All right, what is going on, guys? It's Adam, aka Marf, and this is Marfoogle News. We have a ton to cover in a short amount of time, so if you're new here, remember, always go to our website for our bibliography. We make sure to give you the access to every single article, tweet, video, picture, document that we are going to show you here today, and it's all easy to navigate. It is all done by thumbnail. So when you go to marfooglenews.com, you will look for this thumbnail. We have gone full circus. Again, full circus, and once you click on that, you will see that it brings you to every single article, tweet, video, picture, document that we have here. That way you know exactly where this information came from. You can also go to our website. If you miss our show or if you don't have the 2-hour time, make sure to go over and check that out, because not only is everything there, but there's even more on the website. All of the political coverage, definitely in-depth coverage, is down below the yellow bar. That is also all of the things we could not fit into a 2-hour time slot is down there as well. So make sure to go check that out, and it is all available at marfooglenews.com. And if for any reason we're not here, remember to check out all of our friends at marfooglenews.com/friends. Tonight, we have a great bunch of mods. Again, just to introduce those guys: Bones, CJ Blaze, Jam, Jammer One, Lee Sarhall, PNW Affliction, Rip Curl Readiness, RJL Harris, and Ilea. And of course, Trinity, Red or Blue Pill, Hi-Ho, Kermit the Frog here. They will be on duty, or at least most of them will be. So make sure to thank them by going and giving them a sub. All right, let's bring in my co-host/internet brother, Dex James. What is going on, and how are you doing tonight?
Well, hello, Adam, and hello, Foogle fam. I am doing just fine.
So the Red Cup Rebellion is here as Starbucks workers launch massive strike. We actually heard about this a few months ago. Starbucks all over the place were doing all sorts of weird things, including some of them were even saying they were not going to take cash. All sorts of weird things. They were saying that it would only take, this app thing, or all sorts of weird things. Now it says that Starbucks workers around the country are on strike today in what they're calling the Red Cup Rebellion. Today is the busiest day of the year for the coffee giant. On Red Cup Day, the company gives away the reusable cups to customers who buy holiday-themed drinks like the peppermint mocha or fall-themed beverages such as pumpkin spice lattes. People are super into it. Some stores have run out of cups well before the end of the day during previous Red Cup days. But for some Starbucks employees, it was also the worst day of the year. And as workers of unionized stores step up their pressure campaign to force the company to finally negotiate with them, they're going on strike, demanding bargaining sessions and increasing staffing during one of the company's busiest periods of the year. It says Carissa Freihart, a Starbucks shift supervisor, was traumatized by her first Red Cup day. Freihart had been working at the store in Hopewell, New Jersey for 6 months and said that the store's Red Cup day was pure chaos. At one point, she said that customers were waiting up to an hour for their drinks, which is insane. Anybody would actually stick around for an hour. After about half an hour, you would think that that's like way over the limit and they would have left. But it says that she came home from work that day with bruises. She added a product of rushing to keep up with the demand and not having the space to move around at work. Red Cup Day is mentally and physically abusive. That's what they're calling it. Freihard, who is now a shift supervisor, told Vice News, "It sounds ridiculous talking about coffee, but imagine so many people yelling at you about how you're not doing anything right and you're not getting their drinks fast enough." Workers on the Starbucks Reddit have described it as the worst day of their year and, of course, absolutely unbearable. Reading the words Red Cup Day sent chills down my spine with the side of PTSD, one former worker posted. Starbucks Workers United is launching the strike in response to what they say are Starbucks union-busting tactics and refusal to bargain. So I'm from Seattle, and in Seattle, this is where Starbucks was home to. It was the beginning. The first store is down at the Pike Place Market, which in fact, that was the only place where I could see people waiting an hour. People would line up down the block. In fact, sometimes it would be 2 or 3 blocks long on special days, and people would wait 2, 3, 4 hours. But that was because they wanted to take a picture in front of the first Starbucks or something like that, and it's like a tourist attraction. They would literally wait 4 hours to have a normal coffee, even though if you went literally half a block, there was another Starbucks that was completely empty. People would go there so they could take a picture and say, "Oh, I went to the first Starbucks." I could see that. But waiting at a normal Starbucks all over the country for a free cup that probably costs them near nothing, and it just doesn't seem right. So I could get that if we have any Starbucks workers here tonight, which, again, I know that there's probably plenty of you. What do you think of Red Cup Day? Let me know in the comments down below. Are you going to strike as well? Are the non-union stores actually doing anything about this? Again, pretty crazy. Dex, and you're going to be on the phones if you guys want to call in, 224-400-MARF. If you do want to call in, you're going to want to get in very quickly. Make sure to get in the first 30 minutes of the show if you can. All right, and then Air Force FBI reportedly raid homes of Area 51 website owner. It says, "I have no choice but to take legal action." So it says that U.S. Air Force and FBI authorities have reportedly raided homes in Nevada belonging to a man who runs a website that posts information about top secret Area 51 military base, which has long been rumored to house evidence of extraterrestrial life. It says the agent raided 2 homes belonging to Jorg Arnu, who runs the Area 51 themed website DreamlandResort.com. In 2 different Nevada counties earlier this month, the Las Vegas Review-Journal reported on Wednesday. It says that this is an open and ongoing law enforcement investigation between the Las Vegas FBI and the Air Force OSI. Lieutenant Brian McGarry, spokesman for Nellis Air Force Base in Las Vegas, said in a statement to the outlet. It says that Arnu started Dreamland Resort in 1999, and the site features YouTube video of drone footage from over and around the Area of 51, satellite images of the base, discussions forums, and articles on varied rumors of top secret projects, including UFOs. The site also features photos of super secret aircraft being developed by the military. So one thing I wonder is, what in the heck did he post before they did this? This has been around since 1999. And whatever he must have posted recently or in the last couple years, somebody caught wind of that. That is my guess. Again, this is pretty trippy because they actually went in with both, not only the FBI, but the Air Force. It says it is unclear what specific crimes are being investigated. The FBI and Air Force did not immediately respond to requests for comment from Fox News Digital. It says, but Arnu told the outlet that he believes the raids are an attempt to silence the Area 51 research community. Arnu says his homes were raided without warning by 15 to 20 agents in full riot gear, and that he and his girlfriend, who were present at the Las Vegas home, were detained and treated in the most disrespectful way. So it says, my girlfriend was led out into the street barefoot and only in her underwear in full view of our neighbors. Arnu said, I was led outside handcuffed and only in a t-shirt and sweats in sub-freezing temperatures, which is kind of crazy. I guess, is Las Vegas that cold right now? That's nuts. Arnu said that the agents told him that the investigation was related to images posted on my Area 51 website. So what the hell did he post? That's what I'm curious about. It says, according to Arnu, agents took all of his phones, laptops, hard drives, cameras, and drones, which he said contained all of his financial and medical records. Arnu added that the damage to his home during the raid and value of the seized equipment is roughly $25,000. At this point, I have no choice but to take legal action to try to get my equipment back and seek reimbursement for the damage. It says Arnu said he took some material down from his website to diffuse the situation, but insists all of his posts were legally obtained and legal to publish. So does anybody, by the way, in the community, a lot of you may follow this, and I know that we have so many subsects of people that follow this kind of stuff. Do any of the Foogle family know exactly what was posted? Have you followed this very closely? Do you follow that website closely? What in the heck was posted that ended up triggering this? I'm sure that somebody will do it, and I know that people archive this stuff. They screenshot websites, and especially this one, you would think people are probably keeping tabs on. But this is really, 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 really odd. And I just wonder, what the heck did he post that ended up getting this kind of response? Was it a secret craft? Was it just simply a confidential thing that, wasn't supposed to be seen? I would love to know. And by the way, thank you over on DLive, very active. Thank you, Kimbria, Beer Juice, Sean Penmanrod. Thank you for gifting out a Marfia badge. Again, thank you, Chance Paladin. Thank you for hosting and thank you for modding. We have Scooby-Doo Right, Chance Paladin, of course. Again, thank you for supporting as well. Vicky K, Kelly2334. We have Renegade Petey, Paul Shaggy, and of course Fuzzmeister and Big Fish. Thank you so much as well. Lots of you have popped in. Thank you guys for making it to a little bit of a later show. And thank you as well, Lori Oder and Sandy Langer, for your super thanks on the last show. Those are basically super chats on the replay. Thank you. And then yesterday's show, thank you, Be Real Beast and Zen1AZ, for your support. Chanel Bivaliqua and Nana of Montana, thank you for the show before. And appreciate Darren Wilson for subscribing. Thank you. The Littrell Group LLC says, thank you, by the way, us trying to save innocent lives again. Play my video has previous call-in video reference Dex. FYI was not available to public until after my video call-in. Thank you, family. Posted FF on Monkeyworks comments. 11/16/22 sitrep. Littrell Group LLC. We will check our play my video has previous call-in video reference. Okay, we will check it out. And then Littrell Group LLC, thank you for your massive support. Says, U.S. warn the troops FF. Fantastic Freddy. They will blow the dam to kill and bring NATO into the war. So are you talking about the same one that they talked about several weeks ago? The whole where they both pointed fingers? And then floods will take the lives all downstream in their sleep. Warn the troops. Marfoogle TV, shifting priorities, December 17th, 2020 timestamp. Warned of what's in it. Confirm it to Dex. Dex, if you can look at those comments and see if you can make light of what is going on there. I'm believing it's to a previous show, and maybe we called something or they called something. But again, and then shouts out to Pacific Northwest Affleck, Jammer One, and some others. Well, thank you, Trilicit Stylus, dropping by to show some more love to Adam, Dex, and Mods and family. Sorry I'm not on more during the live shows, but I do listen while I'm at work every night. Well, thank you, Trilicit Stylus, and everybody else that actually watches all of the replays. I appreciate that. And then Be Real Beast actually popped in last night and then first tonight. Says, good evening to all of you beautiful people. Hope everyone is doing well. God bless. Well, thank you, Be Real Beast. Thank you for supporting Independent. And then Stephen McMahon, I'm concerned about G having country locked down. Has he unleashed some new pathogeno? I don't know if he has, or if that's training for something, or if they're, keeping people in so they can move things around. I don't know, but it is very strange. And the fact that they're acting like it's the first 6 months here, it's odd for sure. Remember, you can call in tonight at 224400-MARF. Thank you all the Foogle fam members that have stayed up late. This is going to be a good one. And then Target blames criminal networks for up to $600 million in lost profits. So this is kind of crazy because I've told you guys about this, and once I found out, so Target is one of these places that actually has, it's kind of freaky. So most of you know that they have the cameras at the self-checkout. And then they've got cameras all over Target. And then in a lot of stores now you're seeing like these video screens, these like monitors in like the makeup aisles and stuff, to where it says, smile, you're on camera. and it blinks at you to remind you like, hey, you're being surveilled. Well, a lot of these stores have added facial recognition, and apparently Target has been one of the most advanced systems out there. So what Target has done is not only do they have a forensics team in California, but they will also track what people have stolen and say somebody goes in and steals $1 DVD. They will actually track that person and add to a file and that basically connects to their facial recognition, and they will allow that person to steal 500 $1 DVDs until they actually commit a felony. So say over a month they steal $1 DVDs every day or $10 here, $10 there. Once it hits 500, then they end up getting them for stuff. Then they end up compiling it all together to get a case against them. And this is partly because most of the states have changed their laws, and most of the left-run states have been pretty horrid about actually putting people in jail for this. People were getting checked in or put in a cop car. They were getting the stolen goods taken back, and then they were just released. And then 10 minutes later, they would walk back in, grab the same stuff, and then leave. This has been all over, mostly Targets, though. Targets are insane. So specifically, and I don't know why it's so much so on Lego, but Lego sections have been completely empty. And I have seen the progression when you go try to get your kid a Lego and the entire aisle's empty. Well, thieves have actually found that these Legos have been an absolute moneymaker because they can just grab them, they can fill up a cart, and they can walk out the back. No one follows them. No one does anything. And then they sell them. It's actually screwed up the secondary market too, because now places like Amazon and eBay, if you did want to sell your used Legos or anything like that, now they're asking everybody to be verified because there's so much stolen Lego out there. And out of everything in Target is the main thing, one of the main things that's being stolen on top of everything else. With this, it says that they say Target is the latest big retailer that is blaming shoplifting for putting a big hit on its profits. The company said its gross margin rate dropped from 28% in the last year's third quarter to 24.7% this year. Along with shoplifting, referred to as shrink in the industry, the company blamed higher markdown rates and freight costs for dragging down profits. The company says inventory shortage or shrink is a major drain on profits, and it's a growing problem. Target expects theft to cost it $600 million in lost profits this year. At Target, year-to-date, incremental shortages has already reduced our gross margin by more than $400 million versus last year, where we expected to reduce our gross margin by more than $600 million for the full year. Company CFO Michael Fidelki said in an earnings conference this week. It says this is an industry-wide problem that is often driven by criminal networks. So I want to point out, they couldn't get single people on this, and the thing that changed is they started saying that there was, they were trying to get them under this criminal network charge. I think it was like sort of like there was a mafia type thing, right? It says it started probably in some localized geographics originally, but we can see those circles expanding and the impact continuing to grow. This is primarily driven by organized crime. So there might be 5 or 10, originally a couple homeless people. Then it would be bigger people that were saying, hey, we'll buy those off you. We'll give you, $25 for a $100 set. And then that became into these networks of people going in, getting carts, and then bringing it to those people, getting cash for it. And then those bigger groups actually selling these and going through and making millions of dollars. Just locally, somebody was making hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars buying these stolen Legos down at the Pike Place Market. It says Target says that it was working on training and technology to help cut down on theft and is working with other companies to find industry-wide solutions. It is also locking up items. Images from a Target in Queens showed items like toothpaste and razors locked behind glass doors. Customers are required to use a sensor device to summon store workers to unlock the items. Target is also taking shoplifting so seriously that it has its own forensic science team. This is what I told you about before anybody was covering it. Here's the thing, though. People like you and me are being absolutely super inconvenienced, and especially at understaffed stores. For me to go get baby formula, I have had to wait 45 minutes for somebody to come over just to unlock the baby formula because it's a hot item and a hot theft as well. There's certain things like, just buying toothpaste. You have to get somebody to unlock it for you. And it doesn't even matter. I was in a store at one point where this guy took a 20-pound weight, one of those ones that has the weird dumbbell handle. They took that from one aisle, they went over to the electronics, and they used it to smash the windows to steal all the GoPros. They ended up piling GoPros, and the employees just followed them, and the employees actually directed them, instead of going through the back room, they said, okay, you can take it, just take it, but go out the side door, don't go through the back. And they were literally opening the door for him so he could leave. It's absolutely insane. I mean, this has gotten to the point where if you go to Target at close, you will see at least 3 or 4 people with carts, and they just load them up and then they walk. Meanwhile, almost all of us, and I say almost because there's some people that are probably doing it too, but you pay your hard-earned money for this stuff, and they're just walking out with it, and they're not getting any kind of punishment. So I hope they do end up, cracking down on this. It screws up all sorts of things in the economy. It screws up all sorts of different products, and it just screws us up. And they basically treat everybody like a thief now. Ever since CV started, everyone is treated like a thief. It's insane. What do you think about it? Let me know. Have you had a bad experience at a store because of their new theft and everything since CV started? And then major update to driverless taxi service in the U.S. city that will change how you hail a cab. Which, by the way, thank you everybody that popped in. Geo Huff, Hendrick, nobody. Let's see here. Tom Tier. We've got Victor Freeman, 102 Chuck. Dwayne is here. Old Ryder, Paul Stasny, and everybody else. A good tech that might show up the IP address. Let's see here. If you go on Steal, you're fired, says Ryan. Jaleesa H, Mary Tyndall. Let's see, employees are scared and the word of law is gone. Well, also, you can't, as an employee, you can't actually do anything about it. Tudidika says, much love to all. Wild winter ahead and Midwest seems to stay safe. Thanks, Marf, Dex, and Mods. Peace and love. Tuck Pup out. Well, thank you. Appreciate that. Tudidika, a.k.a. Tuck Pup. Yeah, so, and then the employees can't actually do anything. They can't tackle them. They can't do anything, which is pretty stupid. If I worked there, I would have a hard time not tackling somebody. And then, as far as this, it says driverless taxi service Cruise has expanded its San Francisco operational times to daytime hours. This 24-hour availability will be offered to the organization employees before expanding it to the public. It says public San Francisco Cruise customers can currently order Cruise's transport service from 10 p.m. to 5 a.m. There are now around 70 active Cruise vehicles in San Francisco, TechCrunch reports. It says that Cruise San Francisco fares require a $5 base fee and 90 cents per mile, plus 40 cents per minute rates. It says Cruise began charging its passenger fares in June and expanded into most of the San Francisco area. The Robotaxis company CEO Kyle Vaught says that tonight our driverless service area in San Francisco expands to cover almost all of San Francisco. Today is also exactly 1 year since my first ride, the first driverless ride in a major U.S. city. So huge deal here. If you are one of the millions of people that are actually doing anything kind of like Lyft, if you're a taxi driver, if you are doing Uber, this is yet another job that automation is now going to replace. We're talking about driverless cars driving all over the place, and now they're expanding in major cities. San Francisco is the first, or one of the first, and they're going to expand this. This is going to be something that will completely get rid of that career. So this is just one of probably hundreds that we've talked about. Dex, go ahead.
They say that these cruises have been involved in 9 hit-and-run accidents in San Francisco this year. The other interesting thing, though, is they're actually claiming that the majority of those are not from the autonomous vehicle. It's from other people, like running stop signs or, doing things that they shouldn't have been doing. That causes the accident, not the cruise. So I'm sure that's what they would want to say, but that's what they're reporting too. I thought that was rather fascinating that they've had so many hit and runs against these cars.
Somebody says hang up the phone. Yeah, well, an autonomous driver, they are the phone. So It's kind of like what if you see an autonomous taxi driving really crappy? You drive up to yell at it and it's just, there's nobody in the driver's seat. It's weird, but it's also going to replace yet another career. This is why people like Elon Musk say that in the future, you are hopeful. Your best bet is to have a universal income. This is something that's coming and people need to realize. And I don't know if there's even a way to prepare for the amount of jobs that are going to be replaced. But I would look into it, especially for your teenagers and things like that. Make sure you ask them to look at what jobs are soon going to be replaced in their lifetime, because if they do all sorts of study for something, or if they do a vocational school for something that's going to get replaced, might not be the best idea. But yeah, so we'll see. And then thank you everybody that is calling in right now. Thank you JJ for being here, Nicole, Linda, thank you, Jackie. What's going on? And let's see. So Dex, is this the Elon tweets? Is that from tonight? Is that from something else?
Yeah. They're the recent tweets related to that subject you mentioned in the opening about Twitter failing.
Oh, okay, good. So we'll look at that here in a second. Thank you, Dex. Appreciate that. And then I wonder if Jack, Twitter Jack, I wonder if then something he said was right then. All right, and then we're going to be going over to our phones. If you want to call in, please call us in at 2244-00-MARF. That's again 2244-00-MARF. We're going to get Tommy from the Lifeboat on. And while we get Tommy on, I do want to remind everybody, if you haven't already, make sure to go check out Energy, INERGY. This is one of the best solar generator companies out there, and now they even have more products. They also have the Kodiak X2, which is now shipping out and very soon. So make sure to go check them out. You can actually dual link these to output to pretty much to power anything you can. This is a solar generator. So what that means is you can actually plug this in, plug and play, super easy, one cord, plug it into a solar panel, and it powers the unit, and it actually holds the power. A solar generator works without gas. It is silent. No one can hear it from 3 blocks away, which is very important in an SHTF situation or a major disaster. You don't want people knowing that you have power while no one else does. It's kind of like having a running vehicle when no one else has one. You're going to stick out like a sore thumb. So you got to be careful. As far as the solar generators, this is one of the best all built-in ones because it can brag over 6,000 charge cycles. That means if you use this from full to empty every single day, that's assuming you're using it every single day, after 16 years, it would still have 80% of the charge capacity, which again, 80% of this chunky battery would actually be about equivalent to a Flex 1500, a single battery. So that's more than most people could ask for or want. Again, this is a UPS seamless power supply, so it is uninterrupted power supply, which means it's going to click over immediately. It's an awesome, awesome unit, and it is all built in one. Make sure to go check it out, marfuglenews.com/energy. If you're also interested in their flagship, they also have the Flex 1500, which is modular like Legos. This is the unit that I have and I recommend. But again, this is something that can be expanded up to 96 batteries, and it can be powered and modded all sorts of different ways. Again, you don't need gas, which is going up in price, and you don't have to worry about running motors going wrong and being a mechanic. Most of this is very, very easy, and it's just plug and play. As long as you have sun, you have power. Go to marfuglenews.com/energy. Use the code Marfoogle to save upwards of $170 off on certain packages, and you're helping independent media. All right, let's get Tommy on the phone. Tommy, you're live on Marfoogle News.
Hey, how you doing?
Hey, so
yesterday you were. Yes, go ahead.
We were talking about the, and I'll pull it up on screen here. The V. We'll call it the V.
Correct.
Okay, go ahead.
It's not really a V technically. It's not really a V technically anyway. It's not really what's happening with this. They're probably using that name. It makes more sense to the general public. But this is an antagonist, which is nothing new, really. They like Narcan. It does the same exact thing. It's keeping the
hold on,
receptors
Tommy.
from being able to
Tommy,
take in a specific substance.
Tommy,
now,
I want people to be able to hear you, and it's chopping out really bad. So hold on 1 second. Let me just close any kind of moving things coming in. All right, that's better. Okay, keep going. So it's not really something. It's not what we think it is.
No, so it's not a V. No, it's not. What makes this different than anything else, because we have antagonists now, which stop opioids from attaching and basically getting you a buzz. What makes this one unique is that it is only attaching to one thing. So as opposed to going to the receptors and blocking it, it attaches itself to the fen molecule and makes sure that it doesn't get through the blood-brain barrier. But the crazy thing about this is who paid for all of this. This is where it gets really bizarre, because so the government funded this, but it was the Department of Defense that bankrolled this, which is pretty unusual. It's not usually who puts up money for things like this. Normally it's the CDC, any of those things that normally deal with health. And it's funny because the only thing they're working on is synthetics. And the difference between a synthetic, which would be an opioid, versus the stuff that comes from a poppy, which would be an opiate, the only difference is you can only get an opiate so strong, right? It's never going to outgrow the poppy. It hits a certain point and that's it. But with the synthetics, they can continue to refine it and make it stronger, and nothing stops it. So the stuff we talked about the last time I called in, the car stuff, the Carfen, which can take down an elephant, that's what it's designed for. If they wanted to, they could make that 1,000 times stronger than it is right now. So it's kind of weird that the DOD is the people trying to come up with a way to protect people from synthetics, specific synthetics in general.
Well,
because, and this is a theory, man. It doesn't appear in the article or anything else, but this could be weaponized like very few things.
Well, did you see my tweet on the 16th? I said they are treating this the Fenny like a V or a slow motion T attack, right? Yeah. It says we know almost all of it is coming from or just another avenue for delivery. Yeah, and the Department of Defense, when I said that, I said, why are they treating this like it's something they need to defend against? Like it's something that's being done on purpose to us. It was very odd. I thought it was very, very weird.
I'm telling you, we've been under attack for a really long time, Adam. This is not, me and Wages have been screaming about this for a long time. And the other thing that we bring up a lot is that the death totals don't make any sense. And if you read this study, they have to talk about the death totals, and they're not what they've been telling the public. It was 87,000 a few years back, and then it was 107,000 last year. But they say that 2 years back was 99,000, and that's not all ODs. That's just opiates. So the numbers that they've been pumping to us on how many people are dying ain't even in the ballpark of what's really happening.
You think it's more or less?
If you go and read the stuff, and it's so much more. It's so much more. I mean, it's out of control how much more, and they've got ways to bury it, very similar to what they were doing recently, where they say this person passed away from this, but they're doing the exact opposite. So, if somebody ends up with an overdose, but he's in the hospital for 2 or 3 weeks, they'll write that up as something else, like cardiac arrest or, whatever the final,
allegedly
what took him out was fen. But they're doing everything within their power to downplay this.
Tommy, just try to say allegedly, and we all know what's up. But yeah, I agree. So with what's going on with this, it's like, in fact, those two things possibly could be connected. Do you know what I mean? There was a weird thing where they didn't release certain years and things like that. It's pretty freaky. So I was surprised to see that this came out. Yeah, especially funded by Department of Defense. Like, what the heck? Not the Ministry of Health or anything else.
No, it's in human trials right now. And this is all in the stuff that we just sent over to you, but it's in human trials There are two different universities that are working on it right now, giving the same technology. It's not the exact same thing because they're not technically trying to work on fen. This is the previous incarnation of what was really getting people, so it's the oxy stuff. But they're testing it on human beings as we speak. So they're moving along pretty quick with this. Crazy.
I talked to a military member that was guarding one of the places where military members goes on vacation, and it was these housing units that they that they go when they're on leave, and they can have their family meet them at these houses and stay there for however long they're on leave. And it was also housing to a place that was a future site of this crazy radar, one of those golf ball radar things, and or debated one. It was also the evacuation point for the town of Moclips, but they ended up changing that because it wasn't high enough to get away from the tsunami, because new numbers say the Cascadia is going to be like 125 feet. But when I talked to that guy, he said back when CV just started, he said that this is conflict. It's already been going on, and he said it's already started 2 years before that. He said they have people all over the country. And I thought that was pretty trippy. That was basically saying that we're already at conflict. It's just all being pushed under the rug. Like nobody realizes what's truly happening right now.
Yeah. Well, and you also see the numbers. 200 comes out all the time, right? The daily total, we're losing 200 people a day. If you take 107,000, right? No, this is just solid math, right? If you take 107,000 and you divide it by 365, you surely don't come up with 200, right? It is a whole lot closer to 300. It's 270 something if you do the math, but it's a lot closer to 300, and that's if everything they're telling us is 100% accurate. If you read what we sent over to you, it doesn't match.
Here's why I think it's more than that. I think that's the number for just somewhere like Seattle. I know, I guess it's saying per day, but I'm telling you, there are so many. I mean, how many? Do you know anybody that doesn't have somebody in their family that has a problem of some sort? Even the most perfect family has somebody that is, has problems with addiction and problems with things. Personally, everyone I know has lost someone to either this or to its, previous predecessor. And it's like, you're just you're seeing obituary after obituary after obituary of this. And it's so many people are perishing. And then on the street, because we ended up, for 4 years in a row, we've gone downtown and helped homeless. They say that they're losing friends and family quicker than they can even count. All of these different people they know, the different people down in Pioneer Square, they're saying that people are just disappearing and they don't know where the heck they're going. At one point, we thought, that they were getting taken, but they were all perishing. They were all perishing from this new stuff.
Yep. And crazy. Very often now, Adam, when they start doing the autopsies on these people, the strength of what they're finding in undigested pills and things like that are leading them to believe that very often this stuff isn't even adulterated, right? So they're getting an absolute pure product, pressing it into a pill and sending it out into the world. I don't care who you are; it's going to take you out. So it really seems like they're either really, really bad at this, or they don't much care. How many people end up passing away, because it's usually a very bad business model to kill off a lot of your clients, but it doesn't seem to be much of a problem, with what's going on with fen. It's terrifying. It really is. And we know, not allegedly or anything else, we know 99% of this is coming from the beast from the east, right? They don't like us much, and that's where it's coming from. It's, documentable. That is where it comes from. So, yeah, I'm telling you, we've been, in my humble opinion, we've been under attack for a really long time. We've lost over 1 million people. In the same study that we just sent over to you, they talk about how many years have been lost. For instance, if you were to pass away at 40, they would say, well, you lost about 37 years because 77 is the number that they've been running. And they're saying 1,200,000 years have been lost. That's the loss so far. Now you start doing the math on taxes and all of the other things that ends up bringing into a country, or, where they're talking about why birth rates are low because so many people are dying, from this poison, that there's a lot of people that just aren't, giving birth. And how many people are not dying? Because there's a ton of people just strung out on this stuff. It's terrifying. It really is.
Yep. Look at any metropolis, any metropolitan area, you'll see it, and you'll see it everywhere. You'll see it if you go to any big box store. They're in every parking lot. They're meeting places, or pretty much any place that's open late, and it's everywhere. It's insane. Well, thank you, Tommy. Tommy, thank you for calling in. And again, if Tommy's channel is Run with Wages over at the Lifeboat, if you guys want to go check out his channel, you can over on our website, marfooglenews.com/friends. Dex, you wanted to pop in?
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure on that article that you guys had, the very, very end is where it shows the evidence of who paid for it, which is a scary thought when you think about DOD and why they would need this from a military perspective.
Were people doubting that it was Department of Defense?
Well, no, but I just wanted to make sure, since we had the evidence of it in this article, I wanted to make sure that we showed it and backed up what we said. But yes, this is kind of I'm on the boat there with Tommy on the notion that this could be pretty scary when it comes to where they will take this from a battlefield standpoint. Can you imagine protecting your soldiers from something and then releasing something super strong against the enemy?
Yep. And it's something too. So anything that comes out of the beast from the east, there's a lot of things that get hit on it. Well, they also own huge swaths of the media. So you're not seeing media talk about certain things, and it's like, well, of course not, right? Because 40% owner over here says, we don't want you talking about that, so they don't talk about it. Or if you do talk about it, all of a sudden you get hit for something, and it's like, why? It's the things you can't talk about that are the most the most important to question. Tommy, thank you so much. Again, thank you. I appreciate you, and we have your link up on the website.
Thanks so much. Have a great night.
All right. Thank you, Tommy. And I don't know if you're here, Wages, as well. Yeah, you guys got to check out their channel. And Wages has Wages World, which covers solar activity. And then Wages, on his off time, he helps advocate for anyone who has recovery or is in recovery or is trying to recover. He and Tommy run the Lifeboat Show, and it helps folks with addiction problems. And they talk about issues that obviously almost every family has somebody who's affected. Everybody knows or has been affected by it. So it's a very important issue. And again, they're trying to help people keep healthy, and they're helping people. So from a standpoint of, we're all just normal people, I really like what they're doing over there. And then Iran nuclear escalation seen hurtling towards dangerous crisis. Now, this is something we've talked about. This is actually a graph. It says Iran's highly enriched stockpile, uranium enriched to 60% levels of purity, swelled during nuclear talks. This is back in 4/13/21, just last year. And it says 4/13/2021. Then you see kilograms of highly enriched uranium. It's almost up to 60 kilograms. And this is in July 9th, 2022. So in this short amount of time, look at the graph. That's not good. I'm not a rocket scientist, but that's not good. It says Iran's rapidly expanding nuclear program and restrictions on international monitoring are hurtling towards another dangerous crisis while raising doubts over the Republic claim its atomic work is peaceful. Western diplomats said the International Atomic Energy Agency Boards of Governors, the IAEA, the same one that we've been talking about, the ones that went and investigated Zaporizhia and all that, says governors are weighing in whether to formally censure Iran for a second time this year at their quarterly meeting convened this week in Vienna. Iran continues stonewalling IAEA probe into uranium traces sampled at 3 undeclared sites, Well, its stockpile of fuel enriched just below weapons grade rises to records highs. It says the U.S. and European allies sponsored a resolution of censure at this week's board, demanding that regionally immediately cooperate with the IAEA. The motion is likely to pass even without the support of China and Russia, which stood against the last censure in June. Well, of course they did, right? They're doing backdoor deals and switching stuff with them. They're trading. Which, again, it's so crazy now that we have to talk about them. Like, you know how much bad stuff that the U.S. and our allies are doing, and it's like, it's a circus. It's a full-on circus. It says, continues, it's unprecedented nuclear escalation, wrote UK envoy Corinne Kitzel Thursday on Twitter. This raises serious doubts as to the nature of Iran's nuclear program. It says Iran's foreign ministry has criticized the comments and said efforts to censure Tehran were destructive and would trigger a decisive and effective response from the Islamic Republic. Personally, I'm so tired of their stupid, vague response to everybody in the world. They always do these vague threats, and I'm not saying that I want specific and hardcore ones, but it's just so much BS. It's just blowing smoke every time any politician or any response or a country response, like with NK saying we'll use strong and unprecedented measures, or just all these red lines that are set, they're walked right over. Nobody knows really what to expect of any kind of response to I country, NK, or any of these, other, kind of black sheep countries that are, supposedly doing bad things behind the scenes. We don't know. One thing I do know, though, is there's something so massive going on right now behind the scenes. Nobody really truly knows who the good guy and bad guys are anymore. I'm assuming there's tons of good guys in every country, and it's like good versus bad in every location. It's getting to the point where you don't know what's what anymore. And then NK, nuclear test, fears as Kim Jong-un fires missiles after warning fiercer response to U.S. Fiercer. I don't know is that a word? Fiercer. More fierce? I don't know. Fear grows that a North Korean nuclear test is imminent, and that makes it imminent. Yeah, well, of course they're going to test again. They've been testing. They've been told not to test, and then they just test. They're hermit state. They don't give a crap. They're going to test. Mark my words, but that's not that scary because, again, there's never any response. How did they let NK get to this point where now they just do whatever the hell they want? Well, I think it's because secretly they're backed up by all of these other peer-to-peer adversaries, and they're doing things illegally for all of these countries. It says the latest ballistic missile test in a blitz of launches after warning of a fiercer response to the U.S. NK fired a short-range ballistic missile Thursday as fears grow that the reclusive regime may soon carry out its 7th nuclear test. It says with the latest in a record blitz of launches as Pyongyang warned of a fiercer military response to the U.S. and its allies. Washington has been seeking to boost regional security cooperation and ramp up a joint military drills. Now, if you do listen to what the late Peter Pry said, and of course now people that have taken his place, NK has super EMP weapons. This is something that is one of the bigger threats, and they're not talking about it. On the back end, though, we have military in this group, and they're saying that it is one of the biggest threats, and NK is the one that they think is most likely to use their super EMP weapon. And who knows? It could be Vlad or Xi that say, hey, Kim, we need you to do this, because then they'll only be able to respond to your attack, right? And we have you set up, somewhere else. We'll give you some land somewhere else, whatever, after they annihilate you back. But again, even if they do a super EMP, what are they going to do back? Well, they can do a super EMP back to NK. It would be hard, even if they did a super EMP, knock down our whole grid, for us just to nuke them off of the planet. That could be a response, but most likely not. They're supposed to do an in-like kind type of response. So I just wonder if NK is going to be used by somebody, or the worse half of the clowns, to do something like this. It says U.S. President JB discussed NK's recent missile test with his counterpart Xi Jinping earlier this week, and also spoke with leaders from Tokyo and Seoul. So he also spoke with Japan and South Korea. So something is in the moves right now, and it says Washington moves to bolster its extended deterrence and stage joint exercises with regional security allies are, quote, foolish acts, NK's Minister of Foreign Affairs Cho Son-hui said on Thursday in a statement carried out by state news KCNA. The more Washington boosts security cooperation with Tokyo and Seoul, the fiercer the DPRK's military counteraction will be. Most of us are sick of hearing this stuff. Like, when are they going to, it's almost like, just do something then. Do something and get wiped off the planet. Of course, we don't want that to happen, do we? What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below. I'm going to go over to the chat here for a second. Thank you, everybody that has popped in so far. Again, UKR trying to start WW3, says Janet Criddle. Yes. Well, nobody knows who to believe now, but everybody kind of fell into it and said, hey, he's the evil guy trying to start WW3. US is the one saying that it was his. But when you realize that he's an employee or somebody who's basically been put in there by the U.S., then it's kind of like, what kind of backdoor stuff is going on here? Don't know. But seems to me like we're all getting put in a place where we all easily think this is one narrative. But I think we got to think outside the box on all of this, because it's 4D chess. And if something seems so obvious that the media is pushing, then it's probably something they want you to think. Just my thoughts on it. What are yours? Because everybody right now, overnight, is like, UKR is trying to start WW3 and obviously whatever. He's saying that it wasn't their missile, and maybe he's right. Maybe it was a third party to make this all happen. I don't know. But it is getting absolutely nuts. And then... thank you, Trilicit, and then thank you, Littrell Group LLC. Again, I appreciate that. It looks like we have a lot of new people here. Thank you so much for subscribing. Fee Crispin says, the Lifeboat is an amazing channel. Captain Tommy. Let's see here. Captain Tommy knows his stuff, and it's a wonderful place. See you there. Well, thank you, Fee Crispin. And yeah, Tommy's a very smart guy. Same with Wages. Make sure to go check out both of those channels. Tudukika, thank you. I appreciate it again. And Stephen McMahon, it makes a lot of sense to let the tab run up on a felony amount, but I wonder how they drop the hammer on them then. They're supposed to get them for that organized crime thing, because that's what I heard about it, at least. And then actually this new system of letting it towed up to $500 was a cop. The whole process of arresting a perp for $30 is a waste of time. I get that, but most of the people I'm seeing, they're doing a whole shopping cart's worth $1,000, and then they let them go. And then Kingdoms of Erden says, love your show, best news. Listen while I DoorDash. Well, Kingdoms of Erden, good luck on your DoorDash. Again, listen to that first story. You might want to look at backup objects, because now they're going to have, automated DoorDash cars, I'm sure, at some point. So yeah, just keep that in mind. And thank you. And thank you for everybody that's watching the replay the next day, listening in a warehouse. If you are a Starbucks worker, if you are a Walmart worker, if you are working wherever you are, thank you so much for choosing us. I appreciate it. And then Ray says, China's greatest long-term threat stole more Americans' data than the rest of the world combined. That is, of course, according to Director Christopher Wray, stated in no uncertain terms that when it comes to threats to the United States in areas such as national security and the economy, China is by far the most serious. It says in testimony before the Senate Homeland Security Committee on Thursday, Wray outlined how Xi's country is targeting the U.S. It says the greatest long-term threat to our nation's ideas, innovation, and economic security, our national security, is that from China. It says Ray said the Xi government aspires to equal or surpass the U.S. as a global superpower and influence the world with a value system shaped by undemocratic authoritarian ideals. Well, if you keep this in mind, I don't know what you think about Ray, but man, oh man, it's something that I see is super obvious, and I think most people here agree with me. It seems like they're already pulling the strings on a ton of stuff. Now, Dex, I know that you're going to be getting your everybody lined up on the phones, but if you did want to pop in, This is kind of like obvious stuff. This is something that we have talked about for a long time, and now it's going to be in everything we talk about. It takes about a year or two, and then they start talking about it in the mainstream media. And now it's finally happening. The community, and by us I mean the community, we've seen this coming from a million miles away. And now, of course, there are certain people, which people think are on the payroll, saying, "Oh, don't worry, there's nothing happening, and I don't think he's going to invade Taiwan or do any of that." He's out for global domination. If you didn't see how they have taken over the trade of the world since they joined the W, the T, and the O, then I'd highly recommend looking. That video is up on our news channel just about a week ago. Thank you, Brittany R. I appreciate that. For Gino, let's see, Bobby Brown, One Sun Observer, and Truth Iris. What is happening? Justin Time is here as well. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below. Let me know in the chat. And then Zelensky softened stance on rocket origin after President B's comment. So, as you guys know, UKR's president appeared to soften his insistence that it was only a Vlad missile that caused the lethal blast in Poland this week, and said a team would investigate after U.S. President JB disputed the claim. It says Vladimir Zelensky said that his military officials had told him that images of the crater at the blast suggested it could not have been caused solely by the remnants of a UKR anti-air rocket. He said that he was sure that it was Vlad's missile, but also that he was certain UKR had launched weapons to defend against a Vlad barrage. UKR shot down more than 70 of the almost 100 rockets that Moscow fired on Tuesday, according to UKR officials. Says, I don't know 100%. I think the world also doesn't know 100% what happened. He said in an interview at Bloomberg New Economy Forum in Singapore on Thursday, we can't say specifically what this was, the air defense of UKR. The incident, which took the lives of two men at a farm 6 kilometers or 54 miles inside Polish territory, was a sobering reminder of the risk Russia or against UKR could spill over the borders into a NATO member and potentially trigger an open conflict between nuclear-armed powers. Biden was asked earlier Thursday that Zelensky's previous denial that the blast was caused by a missile fired by UKR's air defenses. Says, quote, "That's not the evidence," President B said as he returned to the White House from the Group of the 20 summit in Bali, Indonesia. He did not elaborate. It says Zelensky said that UKR investigators were going to the site in Poland to join the probe into the blast, which initially they said they wouldn't. So does anybody believe if they were going to not allow them to do it at first and then allow them afterwards, does anybody believe that something wouldn't be picked up if there was something, or something wouldn't be put down? I mean, that's just kind of, it's all sus. It's super sus, and I don't get, it's super obvious every time. It's like the pipeline stuff where two people went in and then they were like, well, you can go in afterwards. But of course, now we've already taken all of the stuff. It's just like, there's all sorts of 4D chess going on here. And it says, I'm sure we'll reach an agreement, Polish Deputy Interior Ministry Paweł Sawernaker said. And then right after this event happened, Vlad said that he was open to go to the table or something. And it's like, what is actually happening here? It's absolutely wild. All right, and then we're gonna go to our next caller, and it looks like, remember, you can call in at 224-400-MARF. We have another first-time caller, Jake, and has some photos here, I believe. Photos or videos. We're going to go over to Jake. If Dex, if you can get Jake on the line. I do want to remind you guys, if you do want to protect yourself against EMP shield, make sure to go to marfooglenews.com/EMP. If you don't know what this is, and if you watch every night, then you know. But EMP shield can protect you against all sorts of EMP blasts, Carrington level event from the sun. It can block all three phases of an EMP, E1, E2, and E3. And it can ground the signal of these events in less than 500 trillionths of a second before they're able to fry your car, fry your truck, fry your motorcycles, fry your boats. Of course, they make one for your generators. They even make one for the Flex 1500. In fact, the Flex 1500 is the only solar generator you can get an EMP shield for. This is the same company that's outfitted agencies like DoD, DHS, and the DEMSO team. So make sure to go check it out. You can also protect your home against CMEs, a Carrington level event, EMP, and even lightning with this device. You get $50 off per device, and that stacks on top of any holiday sale that's going on. Again, they will be running several things, I'm sure, over Christmas. So make sure to get this down and write it down, marfooglenews.com/EMP. You'll get a discount, and you're helping our media. Thank you so much, and we appreciate it. All right, Jake, you are live on Marfoogle News. What is going on?
Hey, Adam. First-time caller, long-time listener, all that fun stuff. I definitely appreciate all the stuff you guys do, and Dex was awesome to talk to. And, yeah, so my stuff's probably a little boring. I was just going back to what you were talking about earlier with in Rachel, Nevada, where they're like, hey, this guy got raided about a bunch of stuff. And I just got to say, like, I did a family vacation. So I'm at Eastern Washington, took a big, summertime trip down to Vegas with the family, driving back up with the kids. And I was like, hey, I got to go through Rachel, Nevada, because that's Area 51 area, and so drove an extra 200 miles out of the way, got there and went, okay, so this is it. There was, at this, I don't know if it used to be a big thing, but nowadays there's just a tiny little bar out there with like 2 people in it, and all of the homes and everything are just broken down and nobody lives in them anymore. And it's just, like I said, I sent in some pics just to go like, dude, there's nothing out there anymore. Drove even to the areas where you're supposedly not supposed to go, but there was just nothing. And it was unfortunate. I was hoping to see something cool, but yeah, not a whole lot going on out there. So I don't know what they were raiding this guy over, if that was even a thing, or if this was just a ploy to get people to want to go back out to Rachel, Nevada, because, man, there's nothing there, unfortunately.
So Rachel, Nevada, is that where the Area 51 or that's all at? Are you saying that it's just basically so boring that why would anybody visit out here? And
yeah, unfortunately, pretty much that. I mean, you go through, and I was expecting a town of stuff and things, but there's literally just one tiny little, unfortunately, like a little double wide trailer. It's a bar, and there's nothing else there. And then I was like, well, maybe I'll drive down the road a ways that says that you're going towards Area 51. Drove down that a ways, and I was like, again, nothing. I mean, it was going through Tonopah. I'm not sure if I'm saying that correctly, but I mean, there's a base out there that's more interesting than what Rachel was. So yeah, no, I don't know. I don't think there's really anything going on out there anymore. It maybe used to be a thing. I mean, that's unfortunate. When you drive through a lot of that open desert area, there's a lot of towns that are just completely dead out there. And that's unfortunately one of them. That was the only place that had anybody at it. All of the other, like, you could see old homes that were out there that are just completely abandoned, and it's just, it's one of those things that have gone by the wayside, unfortunately. But yeah, so I mean, it was a big stop on my list for the the family vacation, and it just wasn't a thing anymore. So I don't know how much. I mean,
so isn't there another area that has like gift shops and things like that, or is that farther away from?
Oh
it?
Yeah.
Is that in town?
Yeah, no, there's not in that area, not around Area 51. So there's a few other towns around that area that, of course, go, hey, look at all this cool alien memorabilia stuff, but nowhere near Area 51. Rachel, Nevada is literally the closest town to that, and there's just nothing there. Tom
Atier said the same thing. So I don't know. It's because I'm into like games like Fallout 4 and stuff like that, and he said it looks interesting to me. I want to go out there. I want to see this double wide trailer, and then that picture you sent in of the truck and just the old school, like, I don't know if that's a gas station or whatever behind it, but the little, like, this is somewhere I would go, bring a tent or whatever and camp out there and just watch the sky. Like, this looks cool. This looks like out of the movies, just barren desert and nothing but weird stuff going on.
Yep. You're exactly right. I mean, it is barren. There's nothing out there. And I was hoping to be like, all right, well, maybe something, so we hung out for a while. And then, my kiddos were like, this is so boring, Dad. I'm like, all right, we're going to go. But yeah, no, we hung out there. Like I said, there's a few other towns. And when I say close by, I mean like within maybe a couple 100 miles. But that's the other thing you got to think about when you're out there. The stops between towns, like it says there's a gas station out there. There is no gas station out there. So you better fill up before you get out there and make sure you have 200 miles worth of gas. There's just nothing.
Well, that's really awesome. I want to go there. It looks like my style. It's all in the eye of the beholder. Well, thanks for taking some photos and letting us see what it's like.
Yeah. No. I mean, it was cool to stop by. Was hoping for more, but even talking to the folks, they were like, "Oh, you can buy some T-shirts," but I mean, like that was it. Anyway, on top of that, no, I love what you guys do, and I think you're right on with everything that's going on with all the UKR and all that kind of crazy stuff that's happening right now. You guys are right on point. And yeah, no, keep on keeping on what you're doing, and yeah, we love you, man.
Well, thank you so much, Jake. Thank you for your call, and it's your first time call. Don't make it your last, and I appreciate you.
All right, have a good night.
All right, you too. Someone said I interrupt a lot. By the way, I would say, and I would literally say that I have gotten the complaint 99.9% of the time. First of all, there's a delay, so they can't hear me until 10 seconds after I talk. So if I am going to say anything, I have to say it when they're talking. But two, I have gotten the complaint 99.9% of the time that I don't talk and I let them go for 10, 15 minutes, and they say I'm the most patient person in the world. So either way, either way I get crap for it. But again, I would think that I've been raised to where you don't interrupt people. But in some cases, especially with this phone service for the thing that we use with this number, there's been a lot of callers, depending on where they call from, where it's delayed and they don't hear me until 10 seconds after they stop talking. If they could hear me, then it wouldn't be an interruption kind of thing. But it's delayed, so 5 seconds later, they're still talking instead of it going back and forth. So when I talk, it's actually in between their sentence, but then they keep talking. So I'm actually talking at the gap, but what happens is it's delayed, so then they don't hear me until they're mid-talking again, and then it sounds like an interruption. So just to let you know, I do take that seriously. I don't like to interrupt people, and I teach my kids not to interrupt people ever. Like, it's a big thing. It's one of my biggest irks is when people interrupt people that are talking. Isn't that right, Dex? Isn't that right?
Yeah,
I'm sorry. Just kidding.
May I speak?
When I'm done. Yes, of course. Dex, I did want your opinion on one of those stories. Okay, let's see here. Oh, Zelensky changing his stance. And then Ray saying that China is the greatest long-term threat.
Well, yeah. So the changing his stance, I kind of go back to the opening article and something that we said in the last couple of shows about this was that, are they changing the story, so to speak, to either cover up something or prevent something? Either they want to prevent the absolute, conflict, or they would need to cover up something that they didn't really expect to happen, and it happened incorrectly, and this is the best they can do to cover it. So one of those two things are potential outcomes, in my opinion, if you don't take the straight up narrative that's spoon fed to us that, oh, it's just an errant, air defense, missile gone awry.
Well, and somebody said, don't trust Zelensky, right? Well, who do we trust? The people that put him in? The U.S.? The U.S. is actually going against the person that they helped put in. I don't know. I think it's all 4D chess, and they're doing rock, paper, scissors, and they're doing scissors. And since they just did scissors, the other person's going to go, well, they just did scissors, and I did paper, so they're going to think do rock. And then you've got to think, well, they're going to do rock because they think I'm going to do scissors, so I'm going to do paper. I know that's a convoluted way of saying it, but that's basically what's happening. They're thinking 3 steps ahead and then ahead. They have think tanks that literally think out 5 steps ahead and then try to confuse the hell out of you. And then release information. They even release information that they put in the background so they can go back 2 years later and say, we released this information and we told you guys there were all of these warnings and there were these things there. That's why we watch all this mainstream, and we actually cover a lot of mainstream media that's not it's not put at the front page. It's at the very back page. We always looked at it like we're covering the back page stuff because that stuff gets brought up later. And that stuff ends up being put out to put something in the back of people's heads. It's not something they'll talk about at the cooler, but it will be something that ends up being a huge deal. Exec who cleaned up Enron calls FTX mess unprecedented. So if you haven't followed the whole FTX thing, the Sam Bankman-Fried or whatever, this guy had FTX. They had this huge, crypto, this whole crypto company that essentially had a huge empire, over $16 billion. Some say $32 billion at one point, whatever it was. Within like a week, they went from this empire to filing bankruptcy. The CEO or the owner or whatever, the Sam Bankman-Fried, ended up flying to the Bahamas. All sorts of weird things came out that they might have been using it to funnel money back from the place that nobody trusts them anymore. That stuff might have been funneled back to, say, the billions of dollars that are being sent to UKR. Well, UKR's investing that into this, and then it's possibly being funneled back to the people, the politicians, and there's all these questions out there. So now that is what is being talked about, and who knows? Maybe it's why. In fact, let's pull up this Twitter thing. So Twitter is a powerful thing for as far as like leaking information or information that's getting out. Dex, can you explain what happened with Twitter from what you've seen now? Because I've got the pictures here. What is he talking?
I was looking for a response from him, and so you had told me, hey, there's all this conversation going on about Twitter going down or about to burn out, and of course, I would expect him to respond. So I went and found a few responses that he has about this, and he's sort of saying, hey, not, in different words, he's saying it's not really an issue. I don't know the technical details of what you were referring to on the earlier when we were discussing this tonight about some people speculating there's something he has 30 days to get done. And if he doesn't get it done or he wasn't able to get it done, then the literal servers will go down. I don't know. I haven't heard that other than what you were telling me about from some other tweets we had seen. So, but it was obviously making enough hay in the Twitterverse, so to speak, that big names were asking him, and he was actually responding to it. So, and then there was one funny one about one of the people he had let go who actually came back and helped him.
So confirming it says, I was laid off from Twitter this afternoon. I was in charge of managing badge access to Twitter offices. Elon just called me and asked if I could come back to help them regain access to HQ as they shut off all badges and accidentally locked themselves out. So they literally could not get into the headquarters. And it says, thanks for helping out. You're a lifesaver. Like, this is some funny. So this is why people, apparently Twitter is trending, and then apparently Twitter is dying is trending, and then there was this cryptic tweet that Jack, the former Jack Dorsey, tweeted out, and it was just 30. And then people started posting, and there were screenshots of this thing saying that there was 30 days for this permissions thing, that if it expired and if it wasn't renewed, and if it didn't have the right people to renew it or something, that Twitter would just die. And it's $44 billion. I'm sure that they wouldn't let that, the people that helped him give that $44 billion, I'm pretty sure that they wouldn't want that to happen. So even though a lot of people think like he'll do it just to troll, it's not all his $44 billion to throw away. So I don't think that that's it. But I don't know why so much talk. Like right before the show, that was trending, and everybody was saying apparently Twitter is going to die. So I had Dex look into it. It says one of the reasons Bill Gurley verified possibly. One of the reasons companies routinely do 3 layoffs instead of 1 is they are almost all afraid to cut too much. They fear of hitting bone, but they vastly underestimate how resilient companies actually are. Companies endure. It says this is also why everyone rooting for Twitter to functionally fail are going to be disappointed. The company had 1,000 employees in 2012 and had 200 MAUs. And the systems are way better now. If they go back to that count, they will survive. You are not seeing the fail whale. And he says, don't want to jinx it, but there's a chance we can keep Twitter alive. Sorry. Memories. All right. So you're telling me there's a chance. And then Nancy Pelosi will not seek re-election as leader of the House. Really? I am, a lot of people talk about how old a lot of the people in office are. And in her case, I'll just leave it at that. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi announced that she will not seek re-election as a leader of the House Democratic Conference after nearly 20 years at the helm, after her party nearly lost the majority in the chamber in the elections. It says the 82-year-old Californian made the announcement Thursday on the House floor. Speculation had grown in recent days about her future after her husband, Paul, was violently attacked at their San Francisco home, and Democrats lost control of the House of Representatives in those events. Says Pelosi has led the House Democrats since 2003, including 2 4-year stints as Speaker. So one thing I think is just my personal thought is something may come out about that's going to make her look bad. So maybe they said, hey, don't do this. But she's 82 years old. Personally, if I'm 82 and still functioning somewhat well, then I will be proud. Meanwhile, if people older than her are doing master classes, I don't know. But at the same time, it's maybe it's time, or maybe there's a potential that there's some scandal there that could be popped out in the next year or two, but it won't matter because she'll be retired. Think about that though. Even though that is pretty huge, a lot of people retire around 65, maybe 70 if they really stay late. 82, that's just like. Why would you, even if you were, I guess she gets paid a lot of money, but still, there's got to be, it's not all fun. I'm sure it's really a lot of boring stuff. Why would you, it's the power. I think that it's like a demonic thing, like where the power keeps them going for this long. Why would you want to be working until you're 82 years old? That just, even if it's, and I guess the answer is that it's power. It's power. And then momentous feds advance largest dam demo in U.S. history. U.S. regulators approved a plan Thursday to demolish 4 dams on a California river and open up hundreds of miles of salmon habitat That would be the largest dam removal and river restoration project in the world when it goes forward. The Federal Energy Regulatory Commission's unanimous vote on the Lower Klamath River dams is the last major regulatory hurdle and the biggest milestone for a $500 million demolition proposal championed by Native American tribes and environmentalists for years. The project would return the lower half of California's second largest river to a free-flowing state for the first time in more than a century. And then it says Native tribes that rely on the Klamath River and its salmon for their way of life have been driving force behind bringing dams down in the wild and remote area that spans the Californian and Oregon border. Barring any unforeseen complications, Oregon, California, and the entity formed to oversee the project will accept the license transfer and could begin dam removal as early as this summer. So those damn salmon are coming back. Put that in there just so I could say that. Let's go to our next caller. It looks like we have... Looks like we have Joseph Newhouse on the phone. Joseph is going to get on. While you're getting on, I would just want to remind everybody, if you haven't already, marfooglenews.com/prep. You can go over to marfooglenews.com/prep and you can get long-term survival food that will last 25 years. Again, there's all sorts of great things. Meals averaging 2,000 calories per day. Simple, quick, and tasty meals formulated with care and consideration. Ideal for an economic collapse, global conflict, natural disasters, pandemics, and viral outbreaks, social unrest, and power grid failures. You also get to save money and support us. We are independent. So any of the affiliates that we end up doing, not only do we believe that this is something good to do at the current time, but it's also something that helps us. We don't have anybody backing us up. If you're new here, we cover controversial subjects, and almost all of the stuff is either not monetizable or it's basically the bottom of the barrel monetization, the yellow. So when you guys do super chat and support, that's great, but it's not required. This way, you actually get something out of it. You get a product that you can keep that helps you prep, and that obviously a lot of you are already looking into. Most of us in the prepper community, we're already getting this stuff. This way, it's kind of like, why not support somebody that you like at the same time as getting something you're already going to get in the first place and get a discount? So thank you, everybody. We really appreciate it. We are trying to expand. We have had one setback after another, and of course, we're going against some pretty nasty subjects here, and when you talk badly about the wrong groups, it's not easy to progress. So thank you, and I appreciate everybody's support. That's marfooglenews.com/prep. All right, let's get Joseph on the phone. Joseph, you are live on Marfoogle News.
Hey, Adam, how are you doing, man?
Hey, what's going on? So what are we talking about tonight? It looks like Elon Musk and power beam from space.
Yeah, well, it was just it was maybe a week ago you were looking at this, and you were talking about. Oh wait, power beam. You're looking at that one first.
No. I've got the first one.
Well, yeah, the Elon Musk tunnel door. So, if you have the video open, it's right at the beginning. You can see this picture with he's got this big tunnel and the door with like this yellow gear shape. And I kind of noticed that the gear, is yellow and it has these 9 points. And then on the same show, I kind of related this to the yellow lightsaber in Star Wars. I know you like Star Wars. But in the same show, you mentioned Mars, the North Pole of Mars turning blue. It's at like 151 or something. You can see the picture of it. And I was thinking about it, and I was like, well, these two things, kind of seem to relate to me. And so I've talked about the runes, these runes before, like the English language derives from these Elder Futhark runes. And I have this bind rune picture at like 3 minutes, 28 seconds, and relating to the magnetic field. And if you just continue to like 340, the reason I see the Mars thing and the tunnel relating is because of the the significance of the first rune of each Ayat. So there's 3 Ayats with 8 runes in each one. And so the first, I don't know if you have the picture open, but the first rune, Fehu, kind of like the F, and the first rune of the second Ayat, Hagalaz, like an H, and the first rune of the third Ayat, Kiowa, kind of like a T. And if you just continue on to 345, I kind of drew a picture of them, and this is relating to the magnetic field, but kind of in the reverse order. So the significance is that Fehu, the first rune, corresponds to the Great Lady, and gold, also could be yellow. And then the one on the bottom, like a T, relates to the North Star as a guiding beacon, but it is also the Norse equivalent of Mars. And so I just kind of thought, that seemed like there was some kind of relationship there. Like, I mean, why would he have this symbol here with the gear? And I related it to in what the Star Wars movie where Rey, it's like the last one with Rey, and she like makes her own lightsaber, and it's yellow, and it has or gold, and it has the special meaning to it. And that's the only way, the easiest way I could relate these two things together, because they're both kind of symbolic. Like you asked the live chat, and someone said that the Mars thing reminded them of the aurora, and like the aurora, you think of the north, like relating to the North Star, and kind of like that rune. And it just seemed interesting to me that matched up. And
well, so
if
wait,
you got a minute, I'll tell you about this.
I didn't see the
power beam.
Well, I didn't realize that the scene from Star Wars actually has it on top of like a runes, the type thing with it pointing up and down. I know. I was pretty surprised to find that, but yeah, I just watched a video about the yellow lightsaber, and there it was. But yeah, and it's like yellow with 9 points, like the gold and the number 9. Oh, like 9. I didn't say 9 is a number that corresponds to the first rune, and in Norse mythology and this and that. So did you you watch enough? I talked about my nephew. My nephew knows how to now basically speak in these runes, and then because we're Norwegian, he's now been studying this, and he can write fluently in these runes. So that show he really enjoyed, and then I just wonder what he's going to think about this one. As far as the Elon thing too, I also said on that episode that it looks a lot like the sunflower, or it kind of relates to sunflower, which is the UKR thing, and it shows a right. Tesla, which actually that same Tesla is the same model and everything that what's his face. Well, no, actually it's not. He's drove in a white one. He has a bunch of them, but just yesterday he was driving a black one. But it almost signifies that's Elon driving down into the deep underground tunnel or something. The fact that he makes these underground tunnels, everybody's like, oh, it's because it's transportation. It's going to be really fast. Well, anybody ever think that how close he is with the government? How we all know that every other country has these deep underground tunnels. We know that the U.S. has deep underground military bases. What company would they have dig all of their deep underground military bases? Well, seems like every kind of business that Elon has done has had a government use. And I don't think Twitter is any different. I think Twitter is going to end up being into a WeChat type thing. But maybe these tunnels also have a secondary use. He's doing tunnels under all sorts of different cities. And, what are they going to be used for if something happens? He also believes in the end of the world. People forget this, that Elon has said on multiple occasions he believes that the end of the world is something that's not only possible, it's probable, and that's why he's trying to get people to Mars. As far as that scene, I was going to do a short video pointing out that it is weird that the this blue aurora popped up on Mars for like a day, and that same day that this happened, Russia tested nuclear weapons, and it caused a blue aurora over the Earth. And I'm thinking, what the hell? It's just weird that nuclear weapons cause a blue aurora, and then one pops up here. When what is the main theory of how to terraform Mars? They say that they would do nukes at the North and the South Pole, and it would basically it would be such an explosion, it would start. I'll pull up, there's a graph of how they think they're going to do it, and this is part of it. If this was a nuke or whatever it was, but it's just weird. Are they already terraforming it? Is there something coming? Is there an asteroid coming in 5 years that we don't know about? It's just weird. So good eye on that. I like that you brought in the runes to it too. Good job.
Thanks, man. Yeah, and I was just going to say, I mean, like, they say the sun relates to the aurora, you know, with, like, the CMEs and all that, right? And you went over this article the other day about this power beam from space, and it's like this pink, I mean, they show a picture of, like, this pink ray coming from space. But I kind of related it to, there was this big conference in Egypt recently, you know what I'm talking about? Jacob mentioned it. Because the logo has like the sun, but then there's like these hands coming off the sun, and it's kind of like, you know, these ancient carving symbols. And I kind of got into that because there's another channel noticed that there's similarities in, you know, other countries with similar, you know, carvings and this and that. And like the Sumerian one, it's kind of like, the sun also has hands, but it's like on a pillar. And it just reminded me, you know, because I talk about the magnetic field, it reminded me of like so those symbolic, you know, pictures where they have like the black and white pillar.
Yes.
And so I was just thinking that, you know, I think I said, you know, it'd be hard to confirm, but I can't deny that it kind of sounds like it relates to the magnetic field. Yeah. But
well, for this one,
yeah, there's a new Avatar trailer out too. I'm looking at.
Yes, which a lot of people on Reddit are saying that there's all sorts of different symbology or symbolism in that movie as well, or not only in the first but in the second of the, you know, the future and what is possible. Well, Joseph, I definitely want to see that first video. For this one, I'll probably have to watch to understand. As far as the second one. This is called Power Beamed from Space Magnetic Field, and it looks like you actually go into the runes again and connect that into it. Very cool. Well, thank you for calling, Joseph. If you haven't checked out Joseph Newhouse's channel, he is also on marfooglenews.com/friends. Go check him out, and he is nearing 5,000 subscribers. So give him a hand. Thank you, Joseph. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Adam. Have a great night, man.
All right, thank you so much. All right, bye-bye. That first video, I really wonder, you know, with Elon Musk, he's so connected with Neuralink is going to have government applications. SpaceX is being used by the government 100%. And then the Boring Company is the government, and Tesla and the Boring Company are teaming up to do these hyperloops, and Tesla is doing their battery technology to back up grids. So I'm assuming that the new green stuff that's happening, they're also going to use his battery technology to try to back up power from windmills and whatever else. So that's why people are watching Elon. I know that some people are sick of hearing about Elon. But on the other hand, some people are so fascinated with him. There are channels that just devote themselves to everything he does. He says anything. And that is weird, though, because when people talk about the Antichrist and things like that, people literally worship Elon. They worship the ground he walks on. And I would hope that I would wish that we got some billionaire hero. I really wish we had somebody that would actually look out for us. But if you think about a billionaire hero that actually wanted to save all of us, think about this. What if knowing the truth, the absolute truth, actually meant that taking people out would help, or it would help more? People always want to say that, helping all of us would be the best thing for Earth. What if they think that to save Earth, they have to basically screw all of us? Or to save the species, they have to, screw over whoever's living right now. I don't know. I don't think they care as much about us as some think. All right, and then Feet of Snow, Barry Buffalo, as potentially historic lake effect event begins. Dex, do you want to talk about this? This is East Coast stuff. And
yeah, so, get 10 inches of snow, 5 inches of snow, 6 inches of snow, maybe even a foot of snow. They're talking like 6 feet of snow. That's a lot. So if this happens up in, and I guess it's probably happening now, but if this happens at these kinds of levels from 3 to 6 feet, that's kind of significant. I don't care where you live. Maybe if you're in the very tops of the mountains and you like to ski, that's perfect. But in most major cities, and Buffalo's a pretty big city, getting 6 feet of snow, I'm sure they'll probably all say, it's no big deal. We deal with that all the time, but it's still a big deal. So they issued a state of emergency. It's one of those things that you got to prepare for. We talk about all the various things from hurricanes to earthquakes, and even something like this, a snowstorm. When they come in at this level, they can really do things like take power down or create an area that is so, the drain on the power system is so high because everybody's trying to keep things heated. So, think about this. We're moving into the winter season. This will probably happen all over. I know a lot of people have gotten snow. I don't think anybody's gotten 6 feet in one snowfall, but that's kind of a big number.
Yeah, something's definitely changing, whether it's being manipulated or not. And then ayahuasca warning, hippie brew causes headaches, vomiting, and mental health problems. Is the psychedelic brew blamed for Packers QB Aaron Rodgers' struggles causes headaches, vomiting, and mental health problems up in 7 out of 10 users, study finds. Concerns are being raised about the side effects of a psychedelic drink enjoyed by Packers quarterback Aaron Rodgers, Miley Cyrus, and Joe Rogan. Researchers surveyed more than 10,000 people from more than 50 countries about their experiences with ayahuasca and the ancient South American brew. They found that 70% experienced at least one adverse physical effect, and more than a half said that they have negative mental health issues while on ayahuasca. So one thing is, I don't know. I always think of stuff like this and I question if it is pushing against anything natural. Anything natural that does work for things is going to be pushed back against big pharma. And if you go, well, they have a study by this college or that college, who funds those colleges? And by the way, who funds 99% of everything? Big pharma. So when you see stuff like this, I always just wonder, like this study that did 7 out of 10, did they cherry pick people that possibly had pre-existing things? My big question is always if when it comes to natural things like this, because what Joe Rogan is saying, if you saw that show, he talks about all of this, and he has guests on that basically say that in microdosing, which I haven't done ayahuasca, I've done DMT once, but they say that in microdosing and stuff like that it can be good for people. But they're saying that this actually had mental health issues and things like that. I would assume if you overdo anything, it could. Dex, what do you think?
Well, I like to look at what they say specifically. They say 70% it causes headaches, vomiting, or mental health problems. Okay. Just about everything can cause a headache. And the people that make alternative pharmas for these types of things, I would almost bet that 70% of the people say they got headaches or something, because there's a laundry list of side effects on all those things. So there's the common ones and there's the uncommon ones, and the common ones probably hit everyone. So, this kind of headline is, and I'm not saying this because I'm for this or against it. I don't know. I mean, I know what it is. I know I've read a lot about it in the past. I've, heard of Rogan. I've heard of Terrence McKenna and others. So I'm not unschooled in this topic, but I'm not necessarily a purveyor of it or a proponent of it. So, but it's just always funny when you look at how these headlines are written and how these stories are written. And this is just one of those, it seems like it's gotten thrown out there, a study finds, and then we have to now take it as gospel. So.
I was trying to find this comedic thing that has, and compare that to any medicine. It's like, is your right eye slightly vibrational? Then take Brionex. Side effects include death, and diarrhea. It's like every single thing has possible headaches, rash, diarrhea, blah, blah, blah. It's like anything you take from pharma has huge side effects depending on what percentage. So I don't know. I'm not a proponent. I'm not like pro ayahuasca or anything like that, but I am pro natural stuff, and there's a lot of natural stuff that works. And I only found that out over the last like 6-7 years. And when medicines didn't fix me, and natural remedies or natural things, my intestinal rescue stuff that's made out of it's like cayenne pepper and forgetting, it's like rhubarb or some crazy thing. It does more good than any of the intestinal medicines that I was on, and I got to go off of the intestinal medicines because of it. Not giving anybody medical advice, but again, there's a lot of natural stuff that, again, they don't want out there because why are you going to pay for an $80 pill, or why is insurance going to pay for an $800 pill when you could take, some lemon and honey or something? It's part of the power and part of the money of the biggest industry in the world. Body cam footage confirms Paul opened. Oh, isn't that funny? Body cam footage confirms Paul open door for police contradicts DOJ account. Like I said, maybe there's a reason somebody's stepping down. Come on in. This is my buddy. Oh, don't mind the hammer. That's just some rhymes with brink. Brinky. That's just some brinky stuff. If you didn't know, he just recently also got into trouble for a DUI, I believe. And one thing that people have accused her for many years is, being somebody who drinks. One thing I would say, if anybody's in politics and in their 80s, I would assume, not because of her or anybody else, but do you realize how politics was back in their heyday? People would drink and smoke cigarettes in the White House. They would get drunk. They would get hammered. Look at Kennedy. Look at all the people when she first started in politics, what they were doing. I mean, it was old school. In bowling alleys up until the 2000s or something, you'd drink and smoke and blah, 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 whatever. It has definitely changed in the last 20, 30 years. So if you have somebody from that old school time, they're going to be a little bit different. Back in the day, it was acceptable to drink at work. I mean, it was acceptable to drink and drive at one point. So it came from a different era. But as far as what the stories around their family, it's like, that's old politics. That's old school. But it says newly revealed body cam footage, which, by the way, they tried to not let out for the longest time, reportedly contradicts the DOJ's account of the sequence of events that led up to the on Paul Pelosi, the husband of outgoing Speaker of the House, Nancy, confirming that opened the door for the police who responded to the call that he placed from his residence. While the DOJ claimed in an indictment filed on November 9th, this is the DOJ, Department of Justice, filed this, that the officers opened the doors themselves. Body cam footage viewed by the San Francisco District's attorney confirms that it was him that opened the door and let them into the home. It's all weird. It says that Pelosi, the officers and Pelosi's attacker, David DePape, engaged in a short conversation before DePape attacked him, sending him to the hospital. So, Dex, in this story, they're saying that he did it, and again, nobody, were they just arguing and then he did it after they got there?
Let's take his name out of it. John Doe is at his house and robber breaks in. The police are called, and because he's dealing with this robber, he just comes to the front door nonchalantly and says, "Hi, welcome. Thanks for showing up." It doesn't make any sense. Like this is, there's a lot of oddities in this because a lot of the initial reporting came out. And a lot of it was from, the police that were there, from, the call made to emergency services, et cetera. There's a lot of information that was immediately released. And then all of it was sort of backtracked as if, oh, that didn't happen or it wasn't this. So the story obviously got spun. And it's something you expect when you deal with these high profile people. They try to control those narratives. And even a celebrity in Hollywood getting pulled over, they try to control the narrative as much as they can. So it's not unexpected to hear that. And it's also not unexpected to actually realize the truth is much different than what the media told us. So we don't know what the truth is at this point, but there's certainly enough reason for us to think that what we've been told is not the complete story.
Oh my gosh, the comments in the comment section, man, the chat is just cracking me up here. It says the hammer was for foreplay, and then somebody else says, who was nailing who? Oh no. Oh, all right. Let's and then on that call, Dex, like you said, he said a friend. And that's what the dispatcher, ended up relaying. The whole thing. This is what I'm saying. Nothing is what it seems. We're in Alice in Wonderland. Like, we're not in a real world. I agree with people like Susan Donahue that says it's all a circus, a clown show. This is a circus. Instead of full circle, it's full circus. We're just in a different world right now. It's incredibly insane. Nothing is what it seems, and we're being lied to left and right. And everything contradicts everything. And it's media. Nobody trusts regular media anymore at all, 100%. And that this is the regular media is what is writing our history books for people in 20 years to look back and study history. It's all BS. It only in the last 5-10 years that I have wondered, like, all the stuff I studied in high school from history, how much of that was true and how much of that was the game of telephone? How much of that was ancient scandal that was wrote down as something else? You guys get what I'm saying? It's unbelievable how much things get changed and rearranged and just put in all sorts of different ways. Let's see here. Thank you, everybody over on DLive. Thank you, guys. I appreciate everybody that shows up every night. Finch says you guys should check out Finch. Finch says we should check out Finch. Okay, Finch, I will check out your channel for sure. And then Kate Barra, and then thanks again, Finch. I appreciate the support. Kate Barra, let's see here. Thanks from New Zealand. Thank you. I appreciate that. Tony P, thank you. Nice to see you. Reminds me of all of the Tonys in the chat that we don't see much. Tony Simply. It looks like we have Danish Girl. Hi, Adam, Dex, Jay, and wonderful mods. Appreciate all of your hard work to put this all together. Much love, all. Don't know if my PayPal got hacked, so use this to donate. Well, thank you, Danish Girl, and I appreciate that. Whoa, Danish Girl. I hope that was a mistake. If it was not, I appreciate it. Thank you, and thank you. I appreciate your support, and that wasn't necessary. Thank you so much. Fee Crispin, Tudidika, and Stephen McMahon. Kingdoms of Erden, thank you. Again, thank you. I appreciate you tuning in to us. And then, let's see here. Stephen McMahon, again, thank you. Trilicit Stylist, Be Real Beast, Zen1AZ, and everyone else, thank you. Tomorrow's show is going to be really, really awesome. So make sure to tune into that one. And then, Dex, let's go over the web only. We have lots of really interesting stuff going on. Don't go anywhere.
Talk about a clown show. It continues. So head over to marfooglenews.com, click on the thumbnail for the show, open up that description on YouTube or Rumble, and you can click on that link that says show notes. It'll take you right here. You'll get to everything we just talked about. Then you're going to get to this overflow section, which I'm about to tell you all about. And even below that, you'll find all the caller information. So if you're looking for the rest of that, it's all right here, documented for you. Every single show. The clown show continues with T-Man, apparently, and the other political stuff that's going on. They're going after him left and right. He's going after them left and right. A lot of updates with power positions shifting, as we talked about with Nancy and others. The one nugget I'll throw in here is apparently, and I must have missed this in his announcement to run, he made a statement that we're going to plant an American flag on Mars in the not too distant future. So it may be an obvious statement, but also obviously one that he wanted to make sure was stated. So that was kind of interesting. In the rest of the news, lots of other things happening. The Twitter turmoil continues. There's that $56 billion pay trial that is going on against Elon right now. SpaceX employees said they were fired for speaking out, and Mel Gibson won't be testifying in the Weinstein trial. I don't know why he would have been, but apparently he's not. I didn't follow it that closely enough to know why they were going to pull him in. Definitely some other strange things happening on Twitter. Of course, updates on SBF, as they refer to him now, Sam Bankman-Fried, and what was going on there. And some other oddities, including Bezos, in a statement he was making about the economy. And then, of course, critics are coming after him saying, like, what you're saying is actually going to wreck the economy. So why would you do that? So if you want to know what he was saying there, you want to check out some other interesting things that were happening on TikTok. There's updates from Brittany Griner over in Vlad's country, as well as a handful of other things, including all the caller information. Make sure you head over to marfooglenews.com, click on the thumbnail for the show, and get the rest of the story. Everything right here on this one page for you.
Yeah, so the whole Jeff Bezos things is just odd. And then it's 2022. I'm surprised people are still calling out like breastfeeding and stuff. I don't know. I guess if you have kids, then it's like, okay, big whoop. But yeah, so make sure to go check it out. Tons of really great stuff. Make sure to go check out the Jeff Bezos stuff. Weird things are being said. And then the FTX suggests that Bankman-Fried ended up transferring assets to the Bahamas government. So the whole positive thing that people were, pointing to with the whole crypto thing is decentralized. And heck, if there was something that was based out of the Bahamas, people were like, yeah, it's away from the man. But then bad things can happen where it's like, it's away from the man. And like Swiss bank accounts and things like that can transferred and done all this stuff. I don't know if somebody came to me and was like, hey, you want to put your money with us? We're a business that started out in Switzerland or something, or we've got Swiss bank accounts. I'd be like, I don't know about that. Maybe a Swiss bank account, but not a business that ends up saying that they're like, Dex, does that make sense? Was this thing started in the Bahamas?
It makes sense if you're talking to JP Morgan or you're talking to somebody with, some credentials, right? And they say, hey, I'm going to manage $1 billion for you. Let's bring it over here and let me manage it. Yeah, you would have some trust with that. This clown was, had very little experience, didn't come across all that professional, if at all, to be honest. And somehow he wielded enough, hype to get all of these massively, elite people with a ton of money to put money in, and they got screwed big time. I mean, that's it's unfortunate because it's not just. I mean, yeah, on one hand, most everybody here is going, we don't care if a politician or the elite lose their money. Yeah, they did, but it's also a lot of other little people that did too because they got caught up in the hype.
Yeah, with people like Tom Brady saying, "Oh, this is the amazing thing." I wonder if anybody has actually done as a clown, because he's got that hair. It'd be easy to do a clown meme with him. Let's see if somebody has done it yet. Let's see. Oh, wait. No, they have tons of pictures of him. He's everywhere, actually. There's one. You guys have a wonderful night. Thank you so much. And again, police. Yeah, that looks. That's Bahamian for police. See, I'm cultured. There will literally be comments going, that doesn't mean police in Bahamian. And Bahamian's not a word. Bahaman's not a language. I get you. Well, we'll see you guys later, and thank you, everybody that supported tonight's show. Thank you, everybody over on D-Live. Thanks for everybody that gifted out Marfia badges. Scooby-Doo-Do-Right. Lily Boo eats Marfoogle jam on her son Scooby Snacks. I believe it. And then Lily Boo is a Marfoogle fur baby. I believe it as well. That's one of the few things I can believe nowadays. Kimbria, good evening, Foogle fam. Hope everyone is good. It's now time for the shoutro. It's not an outro. It's not a shout-out. It's a shoutro. Shoutro. Dex, thank you for your service. Appreciate you.
Much love. Great job, brother.
On the fire, we can turn it back, and then we gon' desire. On the back, we can on the way. Everybody start on the day.
All right, let's make a new one for Danish Girl. And then the show continues over on Marfoogle Jams, same spelling, but with jams at the end. There's a third channel. If you're not subscribed, make sure to go over there. And then, of course, the chat goes over there. That's why most people go over there, not because of the horrible music. This is where I say thank you to the people that matter most. You. Mom.